Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 480 podcast. Today, we're here with the post-game review against the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Mississippi State Bulldogs, where your Sun Devils officially took down their first ever SEC team. And speaking of, what's your guys' thoughts on how it went?
Thought it was a great win. We let him hang in there, and that's something I hope we can avoid as this season goes on. But an amazing win. SEC opponent. We finally took them down. That's an SEC defense. You saw your Arizona State Sun Devils absolutely decimate in that first half. So I was completely impressed with this win.
Yeah, I think it was more just fate. Like, we needed a little bit of adversity. If we went into Texas State just this comfortable, didn't think it would be ideal just for the energy. I think we really needed to get punched in the mouth a little bit. So I was honestly, I was settled the entire second half. Low heartbeat. I wasn't stressing at all. Even if they did tie it, it's all good. They even missed a PAT. They were in a position to be
less than one score.
Yeah, they could have won it, honestly, but they missed a PAT. It was low heartbeat the entire second half. I knew we were just trying to drain the clock. Maybe that manipulated our offensive scheme a little bit, but I'm ultimately happy with the results.
No, of course, I completely agree. I mean, for us taking down our first ever SEC team, I mean, just what a game, Arizona putting up 17, I believe, in the third quarter was awesome to see. Cam Skattebo as well, having a phenomenal game. Same thing. Second quarter. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
But Cam Skattebo, Sam Levitt had a somewhat decent game. I would say, though, too, our defense was absolutely outstanding, too, against Mississippi, who has such a horrible offense. I don't really know how else to put it. But, no, it definitely was an awesome game. And I know all of us were in attendance that night. So if anybody goes back and watches the highlights, we were indeed on ESPN.
Yeah, we were shown. The three of us were shown on ESPN. Great stuff. Great energy. The student section, I don't know if I've ever felt an energy at a sporting event that I felt in that first quarter, man.
And you came kind of late, or
I came right as it started.
Right at the beginning, but we were there early for the warm-ups. I honestly think that contributed a lot of energy. We were saying Bulldogs, consistently. I was chirping at them. I was like, you guys are all small. You guys are little pups. Every time I just kept pointing at them, just you guys are small. You guys aren't ready. And then ultimately when they had their offensive line warming up, I was like, that's your release? You're going to get beat off the ball if you're moving like that. So it was cool just to be a little verbal. That extra energy really helped us.
And give the Devils a home field advantage that they haven't had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was funny too watching Trev try to start up the cowbell chant.
Bell cow. No one was cheering.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of like a parody to Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, where it's let me hear you say bell cow, then step this way, step this way. I think against Kansas, I think people might actually respond if we get that going.
You'll just have to keep trying, but it cracked me up every time.
I had to.
No one was.
They're like, "What is this kid doing?
What is he talking about?"
No, I know. The best part too about being there during warmups was the entire freshman quarterback room was there in front of.
Oh yeah, you were there early.
And oh my gosh, when I tell you, it was absolutely intense to see some of the freshmen just chirp at these QBs. They were taking it like champs, man, but definitely some of what we were saying was getting to them. We were saying stuff though too where it was like, come on, why do you even got pads on? Talking about how people had horrible high school careers. It was rough in some aspects, but I mean, hey, your Devils still pulled out with the win, so it looks like the chirping worked a little bit.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and break down some of the plays from this game.
Yeah, let's catch up, everyone.
Yeah, of course. And here's one of the biggest plays from that game.
So we start with a nice little run by Cam Skattebo in the first quarter. And guess what? Mississippi State had to get used to this. In this play, Sam Levitt's able to drop back a nice little screen. And Skattebo's able to make the most of it, laying the boom. Another broken tackle, bringing us to the 12-yard line.
That got us hyped.
Now Shapen drops back and he's able to throw under pressure. There wasn't many throws like this during the game, but that was a highlight for him. And in this one, Shapen drops back. He rolls out left. Nice little sack and a return for the score. A beefy touchdown, if you ask me. Here's Shapen on a nice little curl route. He didn't have many of those good timing plays throughout the game. Overall, very poor quarterback play. Here's another play by Shapen. drops back. He's able to throw, find a little bit of room in the middle of the field. Good play by him. And at this point, Mississippi State is dead to rights, trying to make any sort of comeback that they can. And a nice little touchdown here for Mississippi State. ASU just was relaxed. You can't have that happen against the Texas State or any of our opponents coming up. But luckily, ASU was able to survive this one. And now let's get back. Some more play from Chapin. And I just wanted to point out, not a lot of deep passes. You can see a lot of running, crawl routes, couple stuff over the middle. But overall, ASU's defense was able to mitigate most of what they did here. This is just an example of some poor discipline by ASU. But overall, a good defensive performance for them this year. What'd you think about it, Trev?
Yeah, I just thought the aggressiveness definitely translated from week one. I absolutely loved CJ's fight's authority and just like seeing that ball on the floor, and he just went for it, and he broke the pylon. Honestly, when you guys, I'll give you guys some context. So from our angle, we thought it was just a sack. Like, I was super excited just to see Clayton Smith bring him down. But then you just see CJ fight big in the corner of the end zone, and I was shocked. I had no idea that he ended up scooping and scoring and breaking the pylon, and ultimately it took like an extra 5 seconds for the referee to realize, or at least to throw up the touchdown sign, and then that's when we all it clicked. We're like, wait, that was a touchdown, that was a return. So I was really, really excited to see that, and it definitely looked like Chapin's mistake because he just was trying to go down, but he just let go of the loose and let loose of the ball, and it's that kind of careless play on their side of the field, we were able to capitalize on it. So I was really, really grateful.
Yeah, and at the time we didn't realize the importance of a play like that because we were up. But with the final score being 30-23, plays like that meant everything for this ASU roster.
Oh yeah, let's bring up a really important play, or at least drive, that I feel like deserves all the context in the world. Coming out of the second half, we drained 7 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock, running the ball, imposing our will, moving these chains, and then Ian Hershey knocking down a 47-yard field goal. That is hard to do as a college kicker, and that 3 points ended up helping us so much because that extended that 4-possession lead, and ultimately I was really excited to see that we were not only able to execute not the second half game plan, but what Kenny Dillingham really wanted to enforce back in practice. It's we're going to get the ball within the last 6 minutes. We need to drain the clock until there's damn near 30 seconds left, and we need to score. And then when we get the ball back after halftime, if we are given the opportunity, we need to drain at least 6 minutes off the clock with a score. And that's exactly what we executed.
Yeah, a 14-play, 8-minute and 30-second drive for the ASU Devils, and only 46 yards. That's running attack right there, and that just shows that we have good game planning here in the Valley. I mean, Dillingham, he could have managed the second half a little bit better. We got a little lax, but that opening drive of the second quarter was done to perfection.
Honestly, I feel like this is being kind of blown out of proportion. There are two things, the Sam Levitt performance and also Dillingham's, hesitancy of not trying to spam the run play. It's they don't have to blow it out of proportion. You guys obviously were trying to drain down the clock. That was the energy of the entire stadium. Everyone knew, okay, we have this lead. Let's just end it. Let's keep the clock going. And that's what we were telling each other too. We switched our angle, went more to the sideways angle, and we were just seeing this running game. We're all right, let's just keep the clock going. Let's keep it going. Let's get out of this game. We already stomped their bus. I don't even know how they're getting home. None of my concern. None of my concern.
Yeah. No, totally. And that was one of the biggest things though too, was Sam Levitt didn't have a great performance passing wise, but even on the run, Sam Levitt looked absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I felt like Sam Levitt really did increase his ability to get out of the pocket in order to scramble, roll out to the right side, find an open line for himself just to get a few extra yards. That was one of the craziest things, and what a way to start a game.
Great decision making.
Yeah,
that's why I love him so much. It's he's a sure, concrete decision maker, and it's you even see on that poll, he was supposed to either hand it off to DeCarlos Brooks or look for that 5-and-out RPO option. He didn't see anything open, and he just impulsively kicked it to the left, and that end zone from our end zone angle, that was sick. We didn't even know he kept the ball until we saw him run
until he's already out of the pocket.
Yeah,
exactly.
Once you see the TV replay, you're oh crap, he extended the play, like extended the X's and O's, and that's what you want to see from a quarterback.
No, of course. And that was like one of the biggest things that I loved about Sam was like, you know, coming into this new season, especially after being a redshirted freshman, you don't have a lot of opportunities to really prove yourself as a QB. He had a great game in Wyoming. You know what I mean? And I felt like he really established like this new era of like QBs becoming like, I don't want to say running backs because I felt like, you know, I feel like everybody makes that with Lamar Jackson. But I say more or less like,
Dual threat.
QBs being able to be a dual threat, you know, in order to find those lines. Like they can now run the ball and get yards. Like you should be able to depend on your quarterback for that. And I know that was one of the biggest things with Sam is he really didn't do that too even when he was a redshirted freshman at Michigan.
Yeah.
And to see him do that now is phenomenal. Like I love that. And especially with ASU, like we've been saying all year, being such a rush heavy offense, like to see him be a part of it and score 2 touchdowns for us in this game was amazing. You know, it was great to see. One of the things that I thought was so crazy, I was talking to this about Strider on our way here, is that Cam still didn't have any rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Despite being one of the biggest, you know, players of this entire week and this game. So, you know, Cam dropped 262 yards, you know, proving why he won Offensive Player of the Week in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So
No, I
congrats
think
to
he
him.
won just AP.
Oh, yeah,
Offensive Player of
AP.
the Year
Yeah,
across
it
the
was
whole
AP.
league.
Yeah.
I believe
so-
he won Big 12 as well.
Yeah, he
but,
did.
you know, I think it's interesting. I don't know when calling a quarterback a running back became an insult because I remember Russell Wilson's early career.
Oh, yeah.
Every Sunday night football game, you know, you'd have like Chris Collinsworth going, now here's a guy that can run the football like a running back.
Yeah.
And also throw it like a QB, and that was like the best compliment. And now all of a
It's
sudden,
almost like they villainize it.
yeah, they villainized it. But I think saying that Sam Levitt can run it like a running back is one of the biggest compliments you could give a guy like that.
Okay, and I totally agree with you on that. That's what the reason I held back from saying that is because I feel like now there's all this stigma around QBs, like being called a running back is almost an insult where it should be a compliment. If you can throw for 100 yards and rush for, you know, another 100,
Yeah, he
why
ran for
not?
70 in this game. Yeah.
Yeah, he matched his passing yards.
That's what I mean. It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I just feel like he knew what he was doing at 69.
So, like, here's the important context that I love to acknowledge. In week 1 against Wyoming, Sam Levitt extended plays, and basically he used his rushing yards to establish that third down conversion. So it's like you saw him in those 3rd and 12 situations, and he climbed the pocket and he converted on these third downs. And then we see in week 2, he's not only converting on the third downs because they weren't really put into those hard positions because we were running so effectively. He extended the play to go for those touchdowns. And it's like, you just want to put points on the board. You really just want to get in the end zone. And that's all we saw. Like him reaching for that pylon was phenomenal. It was awesome.
It was
It
great.
was awesome.
I didn't think he was going to make it.
I didn't think he was going to make it either. But I personally love, too, to see like a guy like DeCarlos Brooks have another good game.
Yeah.
You know, I think DeCarlos is really starting to prove now, though, too, why he's an RB2 for us.
Yeah.
Like, a great game
Until
against
Raleigh
Wyoming.
Brown gets back.
Well, until Raleigh
On
Brown
Thursday.
gets back.
On
Thursday night,
he's
baby.
back
Thursday
Thursday?
night.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Woohoo!
But DeCarlos Brooks, I mean, I really feel like he's been proving himself the last 2 games. I mean,
Tyson
didn't
got
have-
some snaps too.
Tyson did get some snaps as well. I know on the other side of the ball, though, too, Kevion Lee, the Mississippi running back, had 35. And one of my favorite things that I'm going to love to recognize from this game, basically Cam Skattebo and Cam Skattebo and Sam Levitt's rushing yards contributed to exactly Mississippi State's entire offensive yardage for the entire game.
night. That's
And
crazy.
I absolutely love that. Like last week, Sam Levitt's passing yards completely doubled Wyoming's offensive yards, and now we do it with the rushing game. That's such a crazy stat to me. You know what I mean? And like this just proves even more why I feel like, you know, ASU is becoming a, you know, really solid team this year in the Big 12. I mean, I feel like we really made a big splash. And speaking of splashes, Mississippi State's offense. Trev, I know you got a lot to say on that.
Yeah, no, going into the pregame coverage, we were basically harping on the athleticism of Kevin Coleman and even Mario. Both of them were just athletic freaks. And I knew that we were going to have to mitigate these splash plays this game. And yeah, they broke loose. Miles Rouser missed the tackle, but I would never devalue Miles Rouser with 10 total tackles. He looks like our sure tackler this season. I mean, he's the most aggressive, dime, strong safety DB you could ask for. And I loved seeing how honestly how interchangeable he's been on our defense. It's like having an extra pass rusher on the field. It's been really cool to see. But yeah, Kevin Coleman broke that bubble. He broke Miles Rouser's tackle, and then you saw Xavier Alford's. I mean, it was a little bit of a lack of speed and keeping up with him, but he's still he's still our captain. So I knew that it was going to be splash play or nothing with this team. Blake Shapen, I wouldn't even give him any credit. It's like only credit I'd give him is giving them 7 points. Like, he literally gave us 7 points.
Yeah, no, and something about Blake Shapen's play a little bit irked me. Just the fact that a lot of his passes came off of slow developing, like, outlet routes.
Oh, yeah, you kept saying that during the game. You're like, bro,
back.
he's looking at his first read and then going back to his first read.
Yeah, he'd make his progressions, but he'd always end up straight back at his running back on a short little wheel route for 2 yards.
Yeah, and they weren't hard schemes either. They were like 5-yard curls, like move the chain schemes.
Yeah, it just showed a lack of trust from his coaching that I don't think
that's what
is there with Levitt.
Emphasis on that, because I thought it was so unique when Dillingham was like, Jeff Lebby is a great offensive coach. Like, he's very talented. Like, if you beat a Jeff Lebby coach or offense, like, you did something right. And it's like, I didn't really see that, but you're right. It's just the lack of trust. He didn't trust his quarterback to execute the fullest of his capabilities as an offensive coach.
No, totally. And especially like what you said last week, though, too, especially with like Kevin Coleman, the guy that broke out for the 80-yard tutty. Like, it was just so evident, though, too. And, like, again, Trev did call it the splash plays were the biggest thing for Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So I think for us beating that offense, and especially, like, what you said as well with in terms of the QB room with Blake Shapen, like, he really didn't do anything at all on that side of the ball. Like, he didn't also look confident. I felt like, honestly, the defensive line was getting to him really well. And, like, Elijah O'Neal, a guy who I really want to point out who is a little bit underrated right now on this D-line, you know, got to him a little bit with his sack. I know Keyshawn Elliott got to him as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I love Keyshawn Elliott.
Love Keyshawn.
That was my player of the game going into the game, and he did really well.
That was mine as well. I mean, I was a big fan of him.
Now, this is a great way to go into our next segment where it's just about the defense. And so much emphasis on getting Blake Shapen to be uncomfortable in the pocket. You just moving him out of his spots. And so one quote that I really want to go over is, obviously, we're Brian Ward truthers here at the 480 Experience. Like, we knew going into the season this guy was going to be turnover happy. Obviously, the reassurance from last week was really cool, but now on back-to-back weeks, defensive touchdowns are active. It's phenomenal. So when Kenny Dillingham was asked, you guys blitzed a lot, Brian Ward's scheme, what was that mindset going into the game? And so Kenny Dillingham responds basically with this quote. Well, I coach offense, and I don't like people blitzing me every other play. When you have a defense that pitches you, we want to be the pitcher on defense, right? We don't want to be the batter. We don't want to be reacting to the curveball, the split fingers, and knuckleballs. We want to pitch. We want to be the aggressor. We want to throw the pitches, and guess what? They're going to get us sometimes. They're going to feel the curveball and the changeup, and they're going to get us. But you know what? I want to be an aggressive defense, and we showed that early. And whether it's a 4-man pressure blitz, whether we're bringing in an extra Keyshawn Elliott through the middle, or we're bringing in a Miles Rouser to add some TFL depth, that's all it was. It's like these running backs weren't comfortable. Blake Shapen wasn't comfortable in the pocket, and it was evident. And that is why they were so inefficient. The stats are lying.
The stats absolutely are lying.
They're making
268 yards. Blake Shapen did not look like he threw.
But Kevin Coleman's long was 80 yards.
Yes.
And then Jordan Mosley had a long of 27 yards. Yeah. So that's already half of his entire stat line. And then, I'll give him that. That one play where he extended the play, climbed the pocket, throw it to their RB2, Davon Booth, for that nice little RB, like it was like a RB go. It was really cool. Like I really liked.
No, it was actually a good play call. Like when Dillingham's talking about, the other team's offensive scheme and being able to beat that. Like you saw some creativity on Saturday. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. Yeah.
Well, and that's the biggest thing though too about ASU's defense. Like they've been so good at making reads on the offense, especially when on most of those wheel routes. They were finally starting to get in on it and like start playing behind the line. I mean, we had 7 tackles for a loss tonight. Brian Ward was saying he wanted to get 40 throughout the whole season. We're already a third way there. so far.
And they tried. They tried to break.
They really did.
Yeah.
And CJ Fight having a phenomenal game with the fumble recovery and, scoring the tutty. Like, Miles Roger had 10 total tackles, like you said as well. Like, this team is finally starting to be able to read plays and players. Like, I felt like they hopped on Blake Shapen. Yes, maybe a little late in the second half. But regardless, this team looks amazing. This is a team that knows how to work with Brian Ward and his defensive schemes. ASU always was known for a 4-2-3, and Brian Ward's trying to change that. He wants to be that same defense ASU had back in 2016, where they averaged 35 sacks and over 50 tackles for a loss. He wants to get back to that. And I think ASU is proving that they can do that this year, especially with using the transfer portal acquisitions that we got. Like, these guys are finally starting to make a name for themselves. Cole Martin had another decent game as well. You know, it was a phenomenal performance from Fiasu, who had 5 tackles this game. I just feel like ASU did such a great job at, like, finally being able to recognize play calls.
Yes. So the context and the defensive stat lines I absolutely love. Our top 3 tacklers were all 3 of our safeties.
Yeah.
X, Shamari, and obviously Miles Rouser, the dog. And so what's really cool that I absolutely love, not on top of these tackles, but they tried testing our safeties. That fade route on Shamari Simmons was really, really good coverage. I was a little worried he was going to catch that. Like, what did you guys feel about that fade route? Like, it was. They were testing us, and they even got us on a defensive pass interference as well.
They were definitely trying early in that game to try to cook our safeties, and
because they were down.
Yeah, they were down, but that defense or that offensive pass interference was a relief.
Yeah,
the penalties are a little weird in this game. I won't lie.
Yeah,
but
I
it was
felt that.
It was good. It was
I was
good.
like, is this the SEC ref?
I know. It's
Like,
good.
Probably.
Probably. I mean, SEC.
He had that accent to him.
Yeah.
He had that southern accent. That's why I felt that way.
Oh, yeah, no, a little scary there. But I liked how they were able to lock down. It was a really good performance from all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And one of the players I want to point out, by the way, which I don't know if you guys saw this on the stat sheet. You guys probably did. But Isaac Smith for Mississippi. I know I don't want to give too much praise to Mississipippi for this game.
But you're
It's
allowed
SEC talent.
Right, you're
It is
allowed to
SEC
praise
talent.
Mississippi.
Isaac Smith, 17 total tackles. 7 solo tackles. No tackles for a loss and no sacks. But that's a crazy stat line for the D-line.
But those tackles were after Cam Skattebo broke the first down.
They were, which I will say that. But regardless, 17 by himself and his entire line finishing with half of that. He doubled everybody.
That's a
on the
Sunday
team.
player.
That's insane. Like, I got to give so much credit.
He's only a sophomore.
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
a Sunday
And
player.
he had a great game though too, especially covering or not covering. Sorry, but he did have that one huge hit on Xavier Gilroy. I don't know if you remember, but he had that one like little zig across the middle. He like read him like a book and hit him hard.
Yeah.
And everybody in the stadium was like, ooh. Like, that was such a clean play. Like, this defense for Mississippi did look really good, especially with them keeping to their roots of that 4-2. Like, they did a great job in zone coverage, I feel like, for what they could have done. They didn't play their flats well. You know, they weren't covering the hook routes. And, you know, obviously it's so hard to guard ASU as we run all of our RPO plays that we've been running on Wyoming and Mississippi. But, you know, Isaac Smith did such a great job, in my opinion, at least on the defensive side of things for Mississippi. So I got to give him credit there, though, too. But ASU, I mean, just dropping 30, that 17-second quarter, and, you know, having the defense we did, protecting, you know, Mississippi from getting almost any yards and any tutties really was just phenomenal.
Yeah, here's the comparative advantage. So what I really loved from the presser with Cam Skattebo was the fact that they acknowledged they took offense from Mississippi State's approach on defense. So I wouldn't say they lost because of their lack of execution. They were executing just the wrong things. So what they took offense by was Mississippi State was just putting 3 guys on the line, and then they just have their 2 linebackers. And they're like, why are you going to do that? We're going to have 6-on-5 on you every single time with our 5-0 lineman and Cameron Sample or Cam Imite blocking. And that's exactly what happened. It was 6-on-5, and it was noticeable. So every time Cam Skattebo was running these inside zones, he was gone. He was breaking 4 or 5 yards every single time because they just didn't have the box stacked. And then obviously they made adjustments in the third quarter, and they're like, all right, if you're going to keep spamming the run, then we're going to spam this front stacking the box. And that is why the score obviously dictated a little bit of a comeback from Mississippi State. But it's the classic ESPN coverage. It's never over until it's over. it's the exact example of what college football entails. You have to go until the whistle's over for that game to be done. And so, yeah, adjustments are going to be made throughout the college football season, whether it's in game or just in terms of game plan. But at this age, it's like it stays true to the quote where it's like, you know what we're going to do, but we're not going to do it until you can stop it. Yeah. And they couldn't.
I have a little bit of a bone to pick actually with ESPN. Okay, I thought the broadcast was fine. It was good, and then I was glad we were on it. But after the game ends, I look on ESPN's Instagram, and I'm expecting maybe a final score, maybe something.
Yeah.
Not a single post about ASU. That was their marquee matchup of the night. No post about ASU. SportsCenter posted the fumble return for the touchdown CJ fight.
Yeah.
That's all the coverage ASU got, and it's like, okay, guys, I get, we were projected to be a bad team this year, but it's we were on ESPN.
Nobody wants to admit it though. Nobody's gonna want to show that the AP poll was wrong to start off the
we
year.
were also
nobody wants.
Oh
to
yeah,
show
by
that.
the way, we got 2 votes for top 25 coaches poll.
Yeah.
Okay,
But,
we're getting up. We're getting close.
It was hard because there was a lot of media action towards other games.
Yeah.
So
There were.
It was a hectic week, especially in the Big 12.
No one expected Colorado to get manhandled like that to Nebraska.
Oh, against Nebraska. Wow, what a game, man. Shiloh Sanders, though, too, prayers to him for the injury that he faced during that game.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Honestly,
quick,
prayers
speedy
to the whole
recovery.
team, bro.
Yeah.
Like I tried to watch some of their vlogs like during, and like it was nothing. Like they clipped out everything because they knew like they just couldn't do anything on Nebraska's offensive line. Like their line was really dominant, just as our offensive line was really dominant. But I think this is going to translate for the entire Big 12 schedule. This is our last out-of-conference game on Thursday, and I really loved that they acknowledged that they have a 5-day turnaround. They got to take things seriously. Kenny was like, look, I'll let you guys post. You guys do whatever you want tonight. Sunday morning, I'll let you guys post your quotes and repost the videos, but it's done. You guys need to lock in for state because this is a really good team, and I believe them. This is probably going to be our hardest matchup of the year so far. So, but...
Really? You think hardest matchup of the year?
Yeah, because
so far.
Yeah,
so far.
Okay. Yeah. And it's our first away game. And what I really want to acknowledge is like when we're going in these early season games, you're really you don't know your identity yet. And even none of us knew the identity of ASU. We had a projection and we're pretty on spot with these projections so far. But ultimately, Mississippi State had just beat the crap out of Eastern Kentucky, so they were feeling a little high. They were hot, so they're like, oh, we can beat a bad bottom half Big 12 team. That's exactly what their mistake was. They minimized how good we were. They minimized our running game, and we took full advantage of them. I'm super excited that we got to add 1 point to the win column of our SEC overall record, but it doesn't matter to me because they're just another football team, and what college football is about is just staying true to this identity consistently, and that's what we're doing these past 2 weeks. I love it.
Of course, and that's what we literally call it too for the game. We're like, both teams are riding high on super huge wins against opponents that were supposed to be.
We were kind of on spot score projections.
Yeah, exactly. And well, who was closest? Was it you or Trev?
I think I was
23-30.
Yeah, I said
or
around
20-30.
I said in between. I said they were either going to score 20 or 23, and then ASU was going to get 30. So I was pretty much
31. To
you
17.
were 31 to 17. We were pretty much dead on. But I want to talk about a little bit. We have an identity. It's obviously the run game, but both of these games have played out very differently. The first game, Leavitt was wheeling and
Not the
dealing.
first half though. The first half has been pretty similar.
Yeah,
like, dominating.
Well, yeah.
Agreed, but first game, Leavitt's wheeling and dealing against Wyoming, just picking apart that defense, and then
only running when he has to.
Only running when he has to. In this game, he's relying on his legs and Cam Skattebo to kind of carry them to a win. So we need to see what's going to happen. We've seen when the running game wasn't really stopped in the first game, but it wasn't as efficient as the second game. And then in the second game, the passing game wasn't as efficient as the running game. So we need to see what happens when a defense is able to mitigate both of them, and how can they respond to that.
Exactly. And I'm like, I was talking to this. I was talking to this to Trev about, a little bit earlier. And one of the biggest things I think about this game is going to be going into it with a lot of optimism with your wide receiving core. I think our wide receivers are going to be a big part of this Texas State game. I feel like, especially going up against a team like Texas State that has such a good defensive line that's been known to stop the run at least so far this year.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's so much to at least look out for during this game in terms of, breaking down players, trying to ID the mic, the will, trying to really just make things happen on plays where, they think things won't happen, if that almost makes sense. Like running the RPOs is going to be such a classic thing to do. I think being able to really make a lane, like the O-line, I feel like is finally going to get tested. I thought they were really going to get tested against Mississippi and same thing too against Wyoming, but definitely I don't think has been the case here so far. I really think that this Texas State game is really going to show off, players like Josh Atkins, Lee Faltanu is finally going to be under some real pressure. Especially with being in the Big 12. They totally will. They
know how to. They know
so
what to do.
I'm excited to see how this game plays out, and especially to see how our O-line does against a team that probably has one of the better defensive lines in, I'm so sorry. What conference is Texas State in again? That makes me sound stupid not knowing.
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Are they in the American?
Is it ACC?
It's not. I don't.
No,
think
no,
it's
they're in
ACC.
the American. I think.
Is it?
Texas State.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think
here
they're an
comes the
American
lookups.
school because it's kind of like.
Sun
The
Belt.
Sun Belt. Sun Belt. Oh, okay.
Ooh, Sun
So
Belt.
I know they're definitely known now for probably having one of the better defensive lines in the entire Sun Belt, at least for sure. So I'm excited.
It's all scheme.
It
like
totally is.
this team is gonna know that they need to stack the box. Mississippi State was arrogant. That's all it was. They were like, no way that ASU is gonna be able to run all over us. We can just put our SEC D linemen. I recruited these guys. They're big boys. We got this. We'll go up against them. And they were arrogant about it. Even when we were chirping at them when they were warming up, they were arrogant.
Yeah.
They looked at us and they're like, they put a force up and they put a force down. I'm like, you're not gonna be talking
They were
like
blowing
that, bro.
kisses to everybody as well, and I was like, man, you better.
Beat is nah, bro. Like that's why I just kept saying, like, you guys are small. Like there is no possible way that you were going to outrun us. Like nah. Like we were going to establish our identity, and you were gonna take it in the mouth, whether you liked it or not. Yeah, they did.
Wow,
They
wow,
literally
what a
really did take it in the
What
mouth.
was the
They
first
did.
half score? 27-3, baby.
I mean-
Let's go. And that's why a lot of people left at halftime because they're like, damn. Like
It's
we're so
over.
used to being the reciprocal of this, but it's not this time. No, it's not this time.
we need to get people to stay maybe a little bit better.
Well, it's
but-
honestly the Valley too. Like I think we just need to open up the Valley. Like they need to
Activate the
wake
Valley?
up. They need to wake up as well because the students they're up. We're ready.
We're here.
We're gonna be here against the Kansas game, and like what I really felt in our student section was how it was so cool to see how verbal everyone was, because obviously the opinions weren't all the same. A lot of people were dissatisfied with Sam Leavitt. They're like, there's no way this guy's gonna actually pass the ball when it matters. Like he can't even make the throw right now because they missed
That
a
is
few.
how most WP Carey kids sound, by the way.
Nah, it's even Cronkite, bro. You knew we were with your
why-
entire level.
Cronkite kids know what's up, dude.
We
What
were
are you
on your
talking
whole
about?
level, bro. Some of them were
No, we
chirping.
were,
They were
we were.
like, Sam Leavitt, I don't know if I could trust this guy still, even when we're up by 24 points.
That's where sports journalism majors.
But it's okay because it was all part of the scheme. Like Kenny Dillingham even blamed himself in the presser. He's like, yeah, maybe I was just spamming run too much to Marcus Arroyo, and I was telling him, keep running it, keep running
That was a
him.
nice.
That was
that was a nice.
That was
And,
nice.
and he kept Sam Leavitt out of rhythm. He blamed himself for that. It's all blown out of proportion. If you get the dub, you get the dub. If you stayed true to your identity, you did exactly what you needed to do. I don't understand why there'd be any criticism from this game, but obviously it's human nature. You're gonna criticize at least something from a football game.
Yeah, and I liked how Dillingham responded to that.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, well, what did he run for? Let's see. Okay. Sam Leavitt, 68 yards running. Dillingham was like, if my freshman quarterback, the worst thing he does is run for first downs.
Yeah.
yeah.
In his second ever game and miss 2 or 3 throws, like
Yeah.
it
was 2 or 3 too.
It was 2 or 3.
We saw them. They were right in
did.
front of us.
2 or 3 throws and his game looks completely different.
Yeah.
He's like, those are throws that he's going to make maybe even by the end of this freshman year or in his sophomore, his junior, his senior. He's going to be making those throws. Dillingham City makes them in practice. It's going to translate.
Of course, I'm curious on what your guys' thoughts are. I know I said this a little bit briefly, but do you guys think ASU kind of gave up too soon in the fourth quarter, though? Like, realistically, like, gave up. Just, like, was like, okay, we got this game on lock. You know, they pulled their DBs off, I know, a little bit. You know, they were kind of running spreads. You know, they weren't really blitzing as much. Like, do you think they just stepped off the gas?
What's your take?
Objectively, yes. like we were playing softer coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned it to you during the game. I was like, dang, dude, like all of these curl routes are wide open for 5 to 7 yards. And that's how you lose a game right there is they slowly pick you apart. It's the Tom Brady way, right? Just slow, just tiny cuts, and eventually you'll go down. But I was really impressed. Dillingham talked about it, just the way that everybody was able to come together on that team and respond and not let it all blow up in their face. Because there's a lot of teams who aren't able to. When that 80-yard touchdown gets broken, and it's now a one-score game, and there's no more momentum on your team. How do you respond? And that's something we wanted to see from the boys, and we saw it.
Yeah. So this is all by in-game feeling, but I felt the intention of draining down the clock. Like, that's what they were trying to do. They wanted the clock to keep going. And I kept telling you guys, too, I was like, oh, we got to keep the clock going. Like, why are they going out of bounds? Like, it doesn't matter anymore. We just need to get to the fourth quarter and then end this game. And that's what I felt like they were trying to do. And ultimately, that's going to put off the conception that you are lax, that you're going off the gas pedal. But I just think that they were just too hyper-focused on trying to end this game that it ended up being they were a victim to blowing a potential lead. And so I don't feel like, I mean, yeah, you could say they got a little bit lazy. And, like, just because the score ended up being like that, that provides evidence for why they were a lot more lax. But in reality, like, I don't know. I just feel like if Kevin Coleman doesn't get that touchdown, we're not talking like this.
And you're completely right when you say that.
Yeah.
I just think that was one of the things that I just got disappointed at with ASU just a little bit. Like, I was just very frustrated, more than disappointed, I would say, that they just kind of let off the gas a little bit. Like, we were doing a great job at protecting those curl routes until the last bit. And, like, I get that you're trying to run the clock and everything, you know, make sure that you're keeping plays alive.
And you don't want players to get injured.
No, of course.
Yeah, trying to rest some guys. Like, it makes sense.
No, of course. And that's what's totally understandable about it. I was just a little bit frustrated at the fact that, you know, not more or less like we weren't like blitzing or anything, but like we were letting big plays happen.
Yeah.
Like the Kevin Coleman one should not have happened.
Yeah, Miles Rouser missed that.
Okay, and then I wanted to break down a series really quick for you guys. Yeah. This cannot happen if we're playing a team better than Mississippi State, okay? Let's paint the picture. 13:09 left in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. We have the ball at our 25-yard line. It was a touchback, okay?
We 3 and out.
3 and out.
Damn.
Skattebo, no gain. Sam Levitt, incomplete pass. And
then out of rhythm.
And then a complete pass to Cam Skattebo for 6 yards, and I believe he went out of bounds.
It was a check down.
Yeah, it was a nice little check down, but then offensive holding declined, and we punt away. 59 seconds. That cannot happen. Run the ball 3 straight times. If we're gonna commit to draining clock,
I remember that's when you were about to leave. Yes, and I was telling you, I'm like, why are we not running? Who cares?
If we're gonna commit to draining clock, commit to training clock. Stop throwing the ball and drain the clock, man. If you just run it 3 straight times, that's a couple minutes off the board, and this game looks completely different.
Yeah, it's not only decision making on Sam, it's decision making of the coaches.
Yeah, of course.
And that's something they're gonna learn from.
Yeah.
I believe.
Of course.
Kenny Dillingham looked disgusted by it.
Yeah, he did.
He was frustrated. You could tell on the sideline. There was a clip at the Jumbotron too where like they pan over to him and he's got like his hat off and he's like kneeling on the ground.
Yeah, his quote was literally that took 3 months off of my life.
yeah.
Like, bro,
but if you look,
come on, when you're up like that, you're not supposed to be saying that. But no, you never seek satisfaction in football. Never. It's always execute until the game's over.
Yeah, but if you look around, especially around the Big 12, that Oklahoma State game against, was it Arkansas, right? It was Arkansas. Man, the clock management at the end of that game was
horrible,
abysmal. Oh my goodness!
I was mad,
Brock Farrell had better.
Highland High School's coach can manage a clock better than that.
Arkansas muffed a punt. They gave him Oklahoma State the game.
And then
we could have easily been in that same situation as well.
And then Oklahoma State jumped off sides on an obvious hard count. It's like, oh man, what are you guys?
You know what's happening. And
what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
So around college football, it might just be some jitters. It's only week 2. You know, it's a long season ahead of them. And clock management, that was not a strength of college football this last weekend.
And it was the same thing with the Penn State Bowling Green game.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? The number 8th ranked school in all of college football was going up against Bowling Green, one of the bottom feeders of the entire D1 schools.
Yeah.
And their defense looked amazing.
And barely snuffed it out. I have no clue how that even happened. Drew Allard was not looking like himself. Nick Singleton was still going nuts as usual, though. But the wide receiving core for that was horrible. Comes
And we
to the
had
fourth quarter.
upsets because of a lack of game management. Northern
Totally.
Illinois upset Notre Dame because they weren't able to
that
game
was
manage.
insane.
Yeah, and
that's
wasn't
unbelievable.
it Illinois versus Illinois State? Illinois State wound up beating Illinois.
Illinois
was it-
played Kansas.
Or was it Iowa? And was it
Iowa
Iowa?
and
Iowa
Iowa
State
State, yeah.
lost to Iowa.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, Iowa lost the lead and then gave it to Iowa State and by lack of clock
That,
management.
that's what I was. That's what I
Yeah.
was trying to say. Was that game in itself was nuts? Because I was like, "There's no way this school does this right now." And
It's
for sure-
honestly, it's like that energy. It's like that's why Vegas is Vegas, because like they capitalize on these momentum swings, and they're like, oh well, this is exactly what we expected. Like we were supposed to blow out Mississippi State last Saturday, but guess what? The spread actually was spot on. We won by 7 points.
Yeah, and it was
How
a 6.5
ironic.
point spread.
How ironic, right? Like we were in a position to blow this team out, but how ironic we barely cover spread. Like that's just how it works.
Especially against an SEC team, and probably I haven't gotten a look at this, but probably a lot of the money was on Mississippi State. Because
bro.
I guarantee you, there's some dude out in Alabama saying "Roll Tide" that was like
I don't give a piss
SEC
about
team
that.
6.5 points.
I was all
give
over
it
the
to me.
I
Give
was
it to me.
all over the comment section for the ESPN highlights for our game. I was all over them, and there's being
yeah.
like, "You guys are lucky. This is the worst Bulldog team we've ever seen. You guys are lucky. You guys celebrate like it's the Super Bowl when you guys beat a SEC team. I guess that's how dominant the SEC is." No, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that we've really established an identity. We've seen a culture shift. This is our first SEC win. We're not even treating it like a Super Bowl. Yeah, there are some people like, well, we're going to rush the field. We're going to rush the field. No, and we were like, no, it's Mississippi State. Like, we'll rush the
Sorry, I
field
wanted to.
when
We
we.
beat an Alabama, an Oregon, or something like that. Not that those guys.
If
they're not
Utah's
on our
undefeated
schedule,
and
but-
we're undefeated,
oh
Yeah.
the goalpost is going in Tempe Town Lake.
If that actually happens,
chill.
if that actually happens, I swear, dude,
Oh,
that'll
man.
be wild.
I don't even know how we get it out of the stadium, bro. I don't know how
They did it
Tennessee
in the
did it.
They did it in the past.
I don't know how
I feel
Tennessee
like
did that.
I feel like week 2 just proved why we're not supposed to be sports betting on college football.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that was a prime example of
100%.
that.
It gets
100%.
out of hand quick.
Yep.
Well, and it was the same thing too
Dude,
with
Cincinnati, they were up 28-13
Yeah.
against Pitt and let Pitt come back and win that game. Or it was like 27-13 and they let Pitt no, it was actually 27-6.
27-6, yeah.
And then Pitt scored 3 consecutive touchdowns, won the game by 1 point, bro.
Yeah, that was the one
That
was, that was the one I was gonna bring up too.
I was pressed.
Yeah, that was insane.
I was like, come on, Cincinnati, you're supposed to put on for the Big 12. That's how now it's like that Big 12 pride is different now. But
yeah.
every team looks beatable. I love our conference.
Wait,
is
I saw a stat. Let me pull this up. You guys keep talking, but
OSU though.
Even
I'm
U of A,
so
bro.
sorry.
We were tuning in on the U of A game. We're like, bro, they're down 10-6 to NAU at half.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, the Lumberjacks, dude, they're looking so solid. That's a joke, by the way.
Nah,
but
yeah,
what a wild game that was.
that
dude.
was crazy.
And what was the? Oh my gosh, what was the other one we were looking at during? It was like,
USF versus Alabama.
was it that one where
Yes.
they? Yeah, it was
It
insane.
was close till the end.
okay,
Yeah.
listen to this stat, guys.
Oh boy.
The Pac-12 is no more. But
Yeah.
if the Pac-12 was still a conference today,
Yeah,
the teams that were in the Pac-12 would be 21-2 and 3-0 against the SEC. Isn't that crazy? The fact that the Pac-12 is good now and it doesn't even exist anymore.
yeah, man. It's hard. They were good when
They were good.
Like last
couple
year, they
years.
put on for the Bulls. Like they had a really good bull record.
They did have a
They
good
did.
bull record.
But nah,
But
we're
now
in the
it's the
Big 12
Pac-2.
now.
That was the Pac-2.
We're in the
That's
Big
the
12,
Pac-2.
and you can definitely see SEC has some dominance for sure, and the Big 10 has some dominance, but it's all about matchups. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we would have competed better with the Nebraska team than Colorado did. And
Oh,
I tried
I
to tell
don't
you,
think- I don't
I
think.
tried to tell you guys that last week though. Like Colorado, you guys are like, if it weren't for Travis Shador, but like, I think they're a bottom half Big 12 team, and they low key might be, bro.
They actually, I wasn't on that
It's
train,
their
but
defense.
they looked.
They don't have a good defense,
just-
and
yeah,
then
it's
their
horrible.
trenches just needs work.
They don't transfer portal. Like
No,
I-
they did. Remember, they had 55 transfer. Or no,
They
their
had
third
one of
place
the
transfer.
what was supposed to be one of the better every year. They're supposed
But
to have one of the
they're
better
also not
transfer
even ranked
portals.
in terms of the AP. They weren't even ranked to have one of the best recruiting teams.
Classes.
They
which
had Jordan Seaton
which
at right
they
tackle,
had-
and I thought they were good. I was like, you
What-
guys just got a top 5 recruit out of the entire
Yeah.
nation. I was shocked.
Well, and that was one of the things that I was about. This is one of the things I was about to say. So out of the entire AP, they weren't even ranked in the top 30 for recruiting, and they weren't even ranked top 25 in the in terms of transfer portal.
Yeah.
Even with them having the most amount of transfers, they are still not ranked in the top 25 for like acquiring.
It's honestly all
players.
coaching.
It is. Which I mean, are we gonna say Dion's a good coach?
That's not my territory. We don't play them.
Well,
I'm like, I don't want to put any judgment towards them, but I did not see a good game plan from Colorado. They didn't let Shador really be himself. They were just trying to do these rinky-dinky bubble screens. It was hard. It was hard to watch.
it
man.
was, and
They just need to target Travis, bro. They just need to throw it to him every single time. They need to scheme plays for him. They can't just be like, okay, do a bubble and see what you can do. Because Big Ten boys got all over him, dude.
Yeah, and it's bad in Colorado when anonymous sources start coming out. And some of them said after the Nebraska game that they think Dion might be a little bit more concerned with making sure that his son's image is boosted than the.
That's what I'm
going
saying.
on
Like,
with the team.
I don't want to get in that territory. They're in the Big 12, but for all I care, they're a bottom half Big 12 team.
Yeah, we should
like
get
they're
into
irrelevant.
the nepotism tree at least. In Colorado,
they're-
right
they
there.
really
I don't
are.
think. I don't know if it's nepotism.
I
I
mean,
think Shador is a fine quarterback. He's
No,
gonna be
he's
a first round prospect.
I think
if
Shador
not
is
just because
he
he's
just
Deion
needs-
Sanders'
no,
kid.
of
Yeah, if
course,
he's in a different
I
system, he'd
agree.
be
But I'm
good.
saying in terms of like how these
Oh,
anonymous
how-
sources are saying in terms of him.
Yeah, we won't
Yeah.
get into
Yeah,
that.
and
We're not
that's what-
gonna.
that's what I'm
everyone-
saying.
we
should-
said we
Everyone
wouldn't
is
get
gonna
into
have haters.
gossip.
Everyone's gonna have haters, right? Like it's all it is. But like I said, for all we care, they're a bottom half Big 12 team. We don't have them on the schedule. That's why I'm looking and watching games a little more closely when it's Kansas State competing with the Tulane, Oklahoma State competing with Arkansas, Kansas losing to Illinois. It's like, come on. Like, I'm watching these games because these are our future opponents, and I want to see how we stack up against them.
And how do we stack up against them?
We'll
You
find
know
out.
how I feel. You know how I feel. You know what I said pre-production, bro.
We
It's
all
going to be
know.
9-2 ASU versus 8-3 U of A, and it's going to be College Game Day because Big Noon Saturday covers Michigan, Ohio State. So the other good rivalry will be in Tucson, Arizona, and we'll be there.
We'll see
Yeah,
what
we
happens.
will see U of A.
Because name another rivalry that in that week that's going to be high.
I don't, dude. I can't
I
tell
would
you
say
the
like
schedule
maybe
for
an
that.
Auburn-Bama game or something.
Auburn,
But Auburn's no
okay,
good.
but
They
Auburn-
just lost to
That
Cal.
was-
They lost.
That's
to,
why. That's what I
everyone
was
on
saying.
College Game Day picked Auburn too. I
Or
should have
Penn
brought the
versus
vision.
Pitt, or Penn versus Pitt if they play. That's always fun though. Even
It's
though
not
like
good.
both teams are not like insanely good, it is always fun to watch those two battle it out. At least in like.
Bro, no, Pitt's
Philly.
playing West Virginia. That's more of a backyard brawl battle.
Do you think that's more of a backyard brawl
Yeah,
battle
they
than
care
the battle
about
of the Battle of Pennsylvania?
They're just not in the same comp, or like
I
it's
mean,
just
I get it.
it's not it. I don't know, man. But I don't know. I just don't feel like. Dude, all these teams look so beatable. I'm so excited.
They look.
I told everyone on Saturday, like, it's okay, guys. We're here in a month. We'll beat Kansas, and then we got Friday Night Lights, baby. Like, let's go. Like, I'm more scared of Devin Neal on Kansas than Jalen Daniels.
I know. I love the jump around for our schedule. We have 2 back-to-back Saturday games, a Thursday game, and then a Friday game, and then we go back to Saturday.
And then we have
go-
2 cool buys, which are
Yeah.
before our most important games. We have a bye before Kansas and a bye before Oklahoma State. I love that for our team.
Did you guys see the post too of Cam on? I think it was on Twitter or something. It was the aftermath of his jersey.
Oh.
Dude, oh my gosh, his entire
You could see it from the
you
stands.
could see it from the
man.
stands.
Yeah.
And it brings me back the flashbacks of. Do you guys remember when like CMC's girlfriend posted him? Like I think it was like right at the end of last year.
Yeah.
After a brutal game, he had like bruises everywhere. That's how I picture Skattebo right now. At least the amount rushing for 262 yards. Regardless, for
Yeah.
33 carries, you were tackled 33 times.
Yeah, that I also wanted to bring this up. Cam Skattebo tagged all 6 of his offensive linemen when he reposted his AP Offensive Player of the Week post. So I love that visual. I love the camaraderie. They are dedicated to helping this guy fulfill his passion because he looks like a Sunday running back right now. I'm impressed.
He looks like
Dude, who wouldn't draft him in the 5th?
if he's down there, dude.
The
Every team could use him.
Steelers might, honestly, because we're not picking up
Oh, boy.
Najee's. So, like, Jalen
Najee's,
Warren.
like, option.
Yeah, so Jalen Warren, Cam Skattebo backfield. Ooh.
Any team could use a Cam Skattebo.
Exactly.
See, Cam Skattebo would be insane.
You know what
Who do you guys think
my comp is?
Okay.
Oh
sorry.
yeah, just this real quick.
Yeah.
My comp to Cam Skattebo is Mark Ingram's Heisman run.
Yeah.
Like he plays a lot like Mark Ingram.
He was telling me this the entire game last week too.
It's like
on
similar
Saturday.
body type, similar running style. It's cool.
No, I agree. See, personally, where I throw him into this category of like, I know a lot of people I might get like crap for this, but I feel like it comes down to also like CMC's early days type of flashbacks. Like I kind of see it with Skat, at least so far in college
CMC
football.
was nice in Stanford, though. He was taking punt returns.
That's what I mean, though. But like Cam's more of a power back than CMC. Like I got to give it to Cam. Like when you are hit sticking guys and like they will not get he literally injured one of Mississippi's defensive linemen like on a helmet to helmet that wasn't called, by the way. Yeah. Like literally injured one of them and is now on concussion protocol. I know exactly which guy it is. Hold up and give me 2 seconds. This guy, Jordan Morant, is now on concussion protocol for Mississippi because of a hit he took from
the
Cam.
boom.
Literally, I'm saying though, if you are getting hits like that as a running back, that's insane. And anybody is going to be lucky to have him on a team, especially even if he is an RB2, RB3. Yep. He's going to go on that road to glory run and show you that he can take over the number one spot.
Heisman.
Yeah.
Really?
Do you think he's a Heisman?
Cool.
Oh, are we saying he's a Heisman?
Heisman watch.
I know we're chanting it, but is he on Heisman watch yet?
Heisman's a quarterback trophy.
Hey, but wide receivers can win it though too.
Like Quinn Ewers looked really good.
Quinn Ewers.
No, there's a lot of good quarterbacks.
And then Cam Ward.
Give me
Quinn Ewers. It's Quinn Ewers and then Cam Ward right now. And then like maybe Shador needs to be in a better system.
Really? I disagree with that.
I don't see Shador winning it.
He's not going to.
If they win 4 games this year, then
exactly. They're not going to.
See, I see Cam Ward winning. I see Cam Ward winning
it's him or Quinn Ewers.
In the first 2 games, I've loved Quinn Ewers. You know, I think he's an outstanding quarterback, and Texas is so lucky to have him. You know what I mean? And I think he's such a leader, and he's definitely going to be one of the first rounders. That's without a doubt. But
him, Carson Beck, and
totally. But Cam Ward, I think, has proven that he can do every single thing that Quinn Ewers can. And I'm going to say a little bit more. Cam Ward's got the best arm in the entire CFB. In terms of arm strength, give it to Cam all day. And
we got to see how he does in the ACC, but probably.
Oh, of course. I will totally agree on that front. But I do think Cam Ward has a way better arm strength than Quinn Ewers. I think he finally developed his IQ, which I know was a huge red flag last year with him. Like there were so many things that I saw that he adjusted during this offseason in real time at these games that I just love. Yeah. Like there is so much optimism with this guy. And dude, the deep ball is literally always going to be a threat no matter what. Even I don't care if his wide receiver is 2 steps behind. I think Cam Ward still gets him that ball. Literally a lob pass is the same as a bullet pass is how I'm going to kind of identify it. Just because of his arm strength. He can sling it.
Cool. Well, that wraps up our first ever SEC win. Yeah. But I wouldn't even want to put all the volume on it just being our first SEC win. That was just a great home game win. Yeah. Like I loved to see the Inferno active. Back-to-back weeks of 10,000 plus students. That's a program record, and so it was a great time. I had a good time. It was the energy was worth it.
Yeah, I had a great time, and there's some things that they can do better going forward. But
always
now we know what those things are, and we didn't know that after Wyoming. So great win, SEC. We're dominating the SEC. We would probably win the SEC.
Don't say that yet. Everyone's like, we won Bama. No, chill out. Jalen Milroe.
We cannot.
Okay, we'll see how they do against Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin might put up a fight against.
They probably will. We'll see. I will say, I know I told you guys this, and I have to throw this into the video. I'm going to call this game the Gold Rush. With us, I am calling it this for 2 reasons. One, probably one of the best running performances we'll see from Skattebo this entire season.
Of his whole collegiate
career. And all in the same night of the debuting of the gold jerseys. Guys, come on. I feel like I was pretty spot on.
I'll add another little segment to that Gold Rush. I think we struck gold because we really established ourselves and confidence in our identity. Like we proved that we could do it to anyone. To anyone, man.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Not just Wyoming, even though they're playing BYU this Saturday. But yeah, great job, guys. A great 30-23 win on last Saturday and a quick turnaround on Thursday.
Yeah. Right, and now let's go get it at Texas State. That's all I got to say.
Cool.
Let's do it. Thank you guys for watching.
Guys. Yeah, Forks up.
Thank you guys for watching. Forks up, baby, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.